Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's GentooMan here, also known as Rainy, and man, I have been gone for a minute. I think it's been like 11 days since I last uploaded, so pretty far from daily uploads for sure, but I wanted to get back into it. It's been a minute since I started making videos again, and I miss it. I'll make a video ideally tomorrow explaining why I've been gone for so long. I kind of have a good reason, I guess, if you count your brain as a good reason. But through everything that's kind of kept me away from this channel, it kind of reminded me of a story that I wanted to tell on the channel. So that's what I'm doing today. So this story time is actually wild. This is a true story. I know I said I was going to start doing some subscriber stories, which I still would like to do. I'm going to do that soon. And my vlog, I will explain more about the vlog in the video explaining where I've been. I still hope to get it up eventually, I will say that, but there's definitely been some issues with it. Anyways, this is a real story. This actually happened to me a couple years ago. It takes place when I was in high school, and as you all know, or at least you might if you've been a long follower of this channel, high school, at least the beginning of it, was not the greatest time of my life. I was having a tough time, mental health struggles and just making it through day to day. Yeah, you guys know what I mean. So I would make frequent visits to the guidance counselor in the guidance counselor's office because, I was kind of told to go there a couple times and they just knew me. So they'd call me down there here and there, just talk to me. It was a whole thing. So one day I'm sitting in this guidance counselor's office. It was kind of a weird thing. It was upstairs in a hallway. It was it had a big window looking over the library, and there's stairs so you could walk down to get to the library. It was a weird setup school, but yeah, And it was this room where there's a waiting room with a desk, and there's all the enclosed rooms of the guidance counselor's offices. So I got called in. I don't really remember why. I think it was just one of the checkups. They just kind of called me in, and I was just sitting there waiting, and it was taking a while. So I pulled out my PSP, which I loved playing on. My brother gave it to me. I actually still have it. I just haven't picked it up in a while. And what was I playing? I was playing Final Fantasy or something like that. And there was another kid sitting in this place with me. Let's call him, we're going to give him the name Jason because I feel like that's fitting. And he ended up kind of looking over at me a couple times while I was playing my game. And he started asking me about my game. He was like, oh, I like that game too. And we didn't get too deep into specifics. Well, I kind of don't remember what game it was. But I think it was Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy Dissidia, I want to say. So, we kind of just started talking about it for a bit. And he got called into the office he was going into. I got called into the office I was going into. And that was pretty much that. But we got out of our respective appointments at the same time. So we both walked out, kind of made eye contact, said hi to each other. Jason asked me, he said hey, I'm about to walk to the McDonald's and get some food. Do you want to come with me? Because it was our lunch break. And, I didn't really have any other plans, and I could go for some McDonald's. So I said sure, and I went with him. We walked there, we talked while eating, we talked on the way back, we just talked a lot because that was the only thing to do aside from eat, and we had a lot of common interests, talked about video games, movies, all sorts of stuff, and, we sort of developed a friendship. I'd see him in the halls at school, we'd say hi, we'd sit together in the library sometimes, just kind of hang out, and he seemed like a really cool dude. But as these stories often go, things kind of took a turn for the worse one night when I was invited to hang out at Jason's house, and I was going to stay the night over there. It started out completely normal. I showed up in the evening, had dinner with him and his mom was a very nice person. And we just kind of played video games, hung out, and it was a really normal evening. Now, there's this game. It's called, I think, The Last Generation or something like that. It's a fan-made game. It's not an official game, but it's an anime Smash Bros. And it's a lot of fun. I actually have it on my computer right now. Or I did. I'll explain that later. But anyways, I was actually introduced to that game through Jason because he had it on his computer and he was telling me about it because we both like anime and Smash Bros. And so he said he had it on his computer and he said hey, I'm super tired. I'm going to go to bed, but you can try it on my computer if you want. And I'm okay, yeah, sure, that sounds good. And now since it's a fan-made game, you have to download it off GameJolt. And it'll show up in the downloads on your computer. So Jason had gone off to bed, and I was just looking for this game in the downloads on his computer. I just wanted to find this game. I was just trying to play a game. That's all I was doing. Until I came across a downloaded file that just said the name of a girl in our class. And I'm just going to call her Paige for the sake of this video. Now, Paige and Jason didn't talk. Or I guess I say our class, but she's in one of my classes. I didn't have any classes with Jason. So naturally, my first instinct was to open this file, and it wasn't anything super weird, but it was just a bunch of pictures of her that were not her. They were clearly taken from a distance, which was strange. Like I said, not super weird, but it is pretty weird. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, it was just a lot of pictures of her like taken from the distance. Now that was definitely weird, but I chose to just kind of close the file. I ended up finding the game. I played a little bit of it, and it was lots of fun. So this is where the story kind of gets a little fucked up, or a lot more fucked up. So some time passed, and this page girl ended up going missing. It was like a whole thing at our school. Like it was a big thing. Nobody knew where she was. None of her friends knew. Her parents didn't know. She was missing. And this went on, like, I think it's a grand total, she was missing for about a week. But during this week, I was hanging out one day at lunch with Jason, and we were kind of sitting out in the field just eating lunch. And we weren't really talking about much. It wasn't anything too crazy. But at one point, he kind of, like, turns to me and he asks me, like, can I tell you something that's, like, a secret and I've never told anyone and you can never tell anybody? And I said, like, yeah, sure, man, go for it. And I shit you not, this man looks me dead in the face and says, with the most blank expression I've ever seen, I've killed somebody before. So obviously, I think he's joking, and I just kind of hit him with like a, what? And he just starts laughing, and right as he starts laughing, the bell rings from the school, and he's like, okay, like, I gotta get to my class, I'll catch you later, man. And he just, like, runs off before I have any time to process this. Now, after this, I don't see Jason for the rest of the day. I don't have any classes with him, like I said. I go home, and he used to, like, text me and ask me to play, like, World War Z, because we were playing that for a little bit, but he didn't text me that night, even though I expected him to. I messaged him. I didn't get an answer. And I ended up not seeing him for, like, 3 days. And once those 3 days had passed, Paige was back at school. But Paige was always, like, beforehand, was always, like, a super outgoing, like, talk to people and, like, be loud kind of girl, you know? But when she was back, she was really quiet. She was, like, an entirely different person. When people asked her if she was okay, she said she was fine. If anyone asked her to, like, where she was, what had happened, she kind of just, like, dodged the question and wouldn't answer. But from this point forward, I never saw Jason again. I didn't hear from him. I didn't see him ever again. I never saw him at school. So one day, again, I was in the guidance counselor's office, and I ended up asking my guidance counselor about him and said, like, I haven't seen him for a long time. Like, where is he? What happened? And my guidance counselor kind of said to me, like, he doesn't go to this school anymore. And she kind of, like, stuttered and said it, like, weird, if you know what I mean. And that was kind of the last I heard of the situation. So that pretty much does wrap up the story, but, like, it's kind of wild. And I just remembered this because, you know, I've been kind of, like, going through some stuff recently, so I kind of, you know, remembered my guidance counselor days. But it was just wild to think about because I don't know if these things were connected. They could have been. They could have not been. They probably weren't, as with a lot of my stories, but it seems like it was a little too convenient, you know? So I very well could have been friends with a murderer or an attempted murderer or whatever the hell he was for a little bit. But yeah, guys, that does it for this story time. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much, so much for being here, watching my videos. I've noticed some views and even subscribers going up while I've been gone. That's been wonderful to see. It's really kept me going. I want to be back full swing now. I want to still be making videos every day. I'm going to try my best. And I do have a video coming up, hopefully tomorrow, maybe day after, just explaining where I've been, what's been going on, and probably best detail I can. That's going to do it for me today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's good to be back. I'll catch you all in the next one. Later.